again, the only way you could get this set, you couldn't buy it. They didn't sell it. The only way you could get this set of keychains was to go to an arcade that actually bought Street Fighter 2 and participated in Capcom's US promotion, okay? And then they would have these in the machines to re-won. It was kind of a tie-in, you know, come to the arcade, play Street Fighter 2, throw money at the claw machine to try to win them, all right? Now, do these have any monetary value? I have no clue. I don't really care. I don't. That's not why I keep them, all right? The reason I keep them is because back in the day, I was trying to collect the whole set. I didn't get them all. I got a bunch. My friends also tried to collect the whole set. They couldn't get them all, all right? And basically, I'd say probably around the time when Street Fighter 2 wasn't as prominent anymore, and we started moving on to the Versus series of games. So X-Men versus Street Fighter, you know, stuff like that. Marvel versus Capcom. You know, my friend T came to me and said, you know, did you ever collect those when this was out a couple years ago? And I was like, yeah, I got this one. Like, I think I had Blanca and Zangief, maybe. I'm trying to remember who I had. I had like maybe 3 of them or 4, because it all depended on what ones were in the claw machine at the time and if you could win them. They weren't easy to win. Claw machines are fucking tough to win at, right? So he goes, okay, we see. I have a bunch. So the next week he brought them to the arcade and we looked at them together. And if I remember correctly, like our intention was to see if between the two of us, if we could do like a swap or whatever, because I had extras. Like I had some duplicates and he had some duplicates. And so our intention was to like do a swap so that we could get as many as we could of our set to have the whole set. And I remember we sat down and I had certain ones and he had certain ones. And it was clear that with the ones that we had, even with our duplicates, there was no way, you know what I'm saying, that each of us was going to get a whole set. Like I'll give you an example. Let's say I had Ryu, Ken, Honda, Chun-Li, and a duplicate of Ryu and Ken. Okay? But T had Guile, Dalsim, Blanca, and Zangief, but he had a duplicate of Blanca and Zangief. You see? Between the two of us, there was no way that we were going to get a whole set for each of us. It wasn't possible. Okay? And they didn't exist anymore. You couldn't get them anymore. Once they were in the arcades for that first, 6 months Street Fighter 2 was out, once they were gone, they were gone. That was the end. They were, there was no way to get these ever again. They weren't sold anywhere. That was it. So basically we sat there, they had tables in the back of the arcade and we were looking at what we had. And we were going to do the swap. And T basically goes, you know what, man? He goes, he says, you know what, man? You just have them. He said, just have them. Just take them. And he gave me them all. That was the kind of guy that he was, Like the nicest possible guy. Everyone who ever met him loved him. And, it was the nicest thing. He definitely didn't have to do that. He basically just said, here, what ones don't you have? And he gave me all the ones I didn't have. He gave me the whole set. If you don't know why I'm crying, because maybe you have no idea, it's because he passed away. He was murdered. And, everyone in Connecticut was never the same after that. We were all, totally different people because we couldn't deal with it because it was so messed up, And It was my first encounter with real death and loss. And, lucky for me that I did keep them. Because, as I got older, I didn't really care about those kind of collectibles or whatever anymore. You know what I'm saying? I didn't. And, I held on to them just, for the sake of having a nice, collectible. Did I ever think I was going to lose my friend? Of course I didn't, right? But, thank God I didn't get rid of them or give them away. It's something, and the thing is, I gave away all kinds of shit back then. I gave away my comic book collection, my baseball cards collection, I sold my classic games, for profit to go on trips to play competitive Street Fighter, You know what I'm saying? But this somehow I held on to them for whatever reason. I don't know what it was. I kept these, and then he passed away, and I actually, when he passed away, maybe a month, 2 months after his death, I remembered I had these, and I was like, oh shit. And since then, I always made sure, this right here is the one physical remembrance that I have of him. Like, I think he's Ryu and I'm Ken. That's how I always saw it. He was always the better player. You know what I mean? He was the one who traveled, and he was the one who basically got us to all become competitive Street Fighter players in Connecticut. He was the one who motivated all of us to do that. While I was the guy who was kind of his rival. I was the one when he came home from a tournament, right? When he came home from one of these events that he traveled to because he was so good, he would try to convince us, right, to go and travel and do these events with him. And I never went on to a tournament with him. I did eventually go to tournaments on my own. I never went with T. I do regret that. I do regret that. And, I'm so happy that I saved these because they have meaning for me. This is the last physical remembrance I have of him because he gave me his so I could have a complete set. So, there you go. And